Hi there, Steve Rubis, the Fix-It IR guy. It's been a while since we've done a video. We've got some content to catch up on, and the first topic we want to tackle is the tweet from President Trump regarding a study of whether 6-month reporting would be better than quarterly reporting. The tweet was sent on August 17th to everyone and stemmed from a discussion that the president had with outgoing Pepsi CEO Indra Nooyi, who suggested that a 6-month reporting cycle might be helpful to continue to strengthen the jobs market and business in general. Our view is that this is a continuation of the trend started earlier this summer with the clarion calls from Warren Buffett and Jamie Dimon for less reporting or guidance, whatever you want to call it, in order to help drive a longer-term view. And we think it's also a continuation of the SEC's war on non-GAAP information. Our take is that this is a disaster in the making. I think the premise that really presupposes our position is the idea that the smaller and more complex your company is, the more work you have to do to keep investors engaged and get them interested in your company. The larger you are, and depending on what indexes you are in, you do not have to do any work to get people interested. So there are really 3 areas here that I'd like to discuss as to why I think this is a possible disaster. And the first has to do with the idea that I think investor relations and the National Investor Relations Institute needs to be driving the bus in terms of investor relations related topics. What you have here is essentially 3 very successful business people in their own right who are driving the dialogue around investor relations with the government. These business people also work at very large organizations, and I think that, again, large organizations have a different set of issues and problems when it comes to investor relations than, let's call it the 2,500 who are non-S&P 500. It's a very different game, and in our view, I think, if we're in investor relations profession, we should be setting the agenda and the dialogue on investor relations topics. The second issue is around disclosure. My personal philosophy is that more disclosure is always better. Typically stocks take a hit when they decide to go to less disclosure. And I think, the idea here is that, there's always that buy-sider who owns a stock and says, hey, I wish they reported less. There would be less volatility. But the problem is the quarterly cadence is important because it reaches the widest audience and gives the widest audience the ability to assess and understand management's business-making decisions. And that's important to help drive a long-term view and drive long-term shareholder. And then lastly, I think, is this issue of less is more in investor relations. Everyone knows the IR person who thinks that 5 to 10 analysts is too much. There's too many reports that we have to generate. Targeting's too hard. Whatever excuse, insert it here. My problem with this idea of less is more is that if that's the route we choose to take, then we need to accept the associated fate, which is the idea that we will become like newspapers in 2008 and the sell side under MiFID II. We're going to have lower salaries and less opportunities to practice our profession. And we can't forget that there are a number of executives out there who think that successful investor relations consists of a day of speed dating at an investor conference where they don't get yelled at. What companies constantly forget is that investor relations, the real value is in the relationship building and the number of touch points it takes, consistent touch points it takes to drive real relationships. When you're executing and running a business, you don't have time to build those relationships. So what we're going to do from here is our next video will be on when IR is most valuable to a company. After that, the idea of how market cap sort of impacts the value of IR, and then we're going to finish the series looking at Tesla as a real-world example. We hope you like the video. We hope you like our future videos, and thanks for watching.